So I've been thinking, I want to learn how to write. I have no clue how to write anything. And I decided to write a short story with a friend of mine. And I streamed the whole thing live. And here are the highlights of the stream. I hope you guys enjoy it. Golden crowns and golden rings were not originally for royalty to show off, but rather they were implements for grounding their wearers to Earth's electromagnetic fields. It's pretty fantasy.
Yeah, but I'm not great enough for that one.
You've been given the gift of telekinesis under the condition that you only use it to help others. This should be easy, but somehow you're on your last strike. Okay.
Yeah, that one could work.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, we need name, character, main character.
Oh yeah, let's go with the name. Go for like an Italian name.
Alright, Italian names, let's go.
How's that?
Sure, perfect.
Giovanni DiGiorno.
Alright, then you need the... So, power is telekinesis. How did he come across it?
It's a good question. I don't know, what do you think? I'm thinking like maybe some obscure god or something.
Yeah.
Or an alien. Or like an alien that's powerful enough to seem like a god. Or wait, hold on, even better. Like one of those like outer gods, one of them, what's it called? Lovecraftian gods? Eldritch, yeah. And how like with every strike he becomes a little bit more mad, and his sort of grip and sense of reality slips with every strike. At the end, he not only loses his gift, but his hold on reality.
Damn.
What do you think? Yeah? No?
Yeah.
Nay? Yay, nay?
Yeah. So, more
Why?
about Giovanni.
He lives in Italy.
Yeah? What's he do?
Do you know Italy very well?
No, I could Google some cities in Italy though. Why not?
There's actually no. Wait, yeah, there's one called Bologna.
Amazing.
Bologna.
He's a hilariously enough a deli. He works at a deli counter that specifically only serves bologna.
In Bologna, Italy. I feel like at this rate, you gotta work Bologna into their name somehow.
What could be his nickname? So Giovanni Bologna DiGiorno. Okay, so hold on. Do you want this to be a serious story? Because I can make this a serious. We can make this a serious story together.
Now we can.
No, because like I think it's look. What does your heart say? When you think of this story, what do you want from it?
Funny.
You want it to be funny, okay? So we'll go with Giovanni Bologna DiGiorno.
Yes.
Dear Christ. The picture-in-picture thing with Twitch windows. Sad.
Alright.
Oh, I forgot. That's a pizza company.
Yeah.
I can't believe you forgot that. I thought you picked it.
I thought that was intentional.
No, I just thought of the first Italian thing like With all that decided, it was time to write the actual story. And so I'll be narrating the sections that I wrote, which are in black. And my friend, who is a far better writer than me, is going to be narrating her section, which is going to be in blue. A man with a conviction and belief that all who live deserve to have a second chance in life, as well as the experience and joy of Bologna. An infamous man known on the streets of Bologna, Italy, as Bologna. A humble but proud deli counter worker. Those who know his real name, Giovanni DiGiorno, prefer to refer to him as Bologna, not because of his profession, but his true passion for the glorious cold-cut meat. A passion that transcends not only one's self and grip on reality, but upon tasting his personally cured and seasoned meats. They desire no other cold-cut meat but his one and only bologna. Such an anomaly that veered many close to the lines of madness, attracted the attention of the gods unseen and unheard of, one of which visited upon him in a dream of not only cold cuts, but cold sweats.
The dream started in the usual setting, the deli counter. There was a customer approaching the counter, a woman, who by all counts is a normal human being, but there's something unnatural about her. She did not appear to walk, but instead she floated towards the counter. I require your bologna, she said hungrily. Good day, Giovanni Bologna DiGiorno greeted the customer. How much would you like today? The woman's cold gaze peered down at the glass display where all the varieties of bologna were laid out. All of it, she said. All of it? Giovanni asked. All of it, she confirmed. And how will you be paying? Giovanni asked. The woman opened her purse and peered inside. I can pay with souls, sacrifice babies, or power. Giovanni stared towards her, waiting for the punchline to the joke. Or perhaps that was supposed to be the joke. He wasn't good at this type of humor. I don't understand, he said. The woman glanced up at him. It felt like her eyes were piercing through his very soul. Which payment would suffice? Giovanni wasn't sure how to respond to her. Bologna may be his passion, but he still needed money to survive. We accept cash, debit, or credit, he said. The woman stared once more, her lip curling upwards in a disgusted snarl. Souls, babies, or power? Giovanni felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. He got the deep feeling that he didn't want to piss off this woman. However, he had no need for sacrificed babies or souls today. Power, he said. Very well, she responded, her smile growing wider as she revealed her pointed fangs. I will grant you a power so incredible you'll be the strongest human on this planet. However, she said, you must use this power to help others. Giovanni faltered a moment. Why? Not that Giovanni was a bad person, but this woman had just been offering him sacrifices and souls. Makes things interesting, the woman said with a wave of her hand. Now, present me with all your bologna. Giovanni did what he did best. He grabbed some bags and began to package away his entire stock of delicious bologna.
Giovanni awoke in a cold sweat, feeling a bit different, less driven. He felt as though he had lost something, but was unsure as to what it was. He felt lost. Unbeknownst to him, he had lost his passion for bologna. Giovanni Bologna DiGiorno, the deli counter worker from Bologna, Italy, was no more. He was now only Giovanni DiGiorno. The only conviction and belief that remained was his desire for people to get a second chance in life. He got up from his bed and felt a power surging within him. He knew exactly what powers he had received from this dream of his and exactly how to use it. He had the power of telekinesis, and he knew how powerful it was. In order to test his newfound power, he had grabbed and lifted the coat he had hanging on his coat rack and brought it to him. And upon receiving the coat in his hands, he began to feel an overwhelming surge of pain running over his mind, like his brain had been raked across hot coals. He had the sudden realization that he had used the power selfishly and did not use his power to help others as was promised. He doubled over in pain, hoping it would stop. The excruciating pain had continued to surge. He had lost track of time. His mouth began to feel dry, but he could not even pull himself up to even stand.
He blinked blearily, trying to pull his surroundings back into focus, but they continued to mesh into an array of blacks and greens. There were screams now in the distance, screams of pain and anguish. Giovanni didn't know how he knew, but he knew that what he was seeing was not Earth. I'm sorry, Giovanni cried out. It felt like hours before he could draw enough strength to stand once more, and when he did, his knees wobbled unsteadily, as if they could no longer support his weight. He leaned against the wall to try and right himself. He knew that he had to repent for what he had done, for using his power for something as so horrible as retrieving his coat. So he made his way to the door and he yanked it open, staring out into the streets of Bologna. He stepped outside, not bothering to close the door behind him. He stumbled his way past businesses and houses, ignoring the odd looks people gave him. He was a man with a purpose, and he was going to use his power to help others. His first opportunity to do so was at an intersection. There was an older lady in the middle of the crosswalk, taking her sweet old time crossing even though the light had long since changed. There are cars waiting for her to hurry. One even impatiently honks her horn. Giovanni watched the scene unfold, and he knew exactly how he could help. He lifted his hand in the air, the little old lady lifting alongside it, then he flicked his fingers outwards, flinging the little old lady to the other side of the street. He had done it. He had used his power for good. The little old lady was now in a heap on the sidewalk, struggling to get to her feet, but Giovanni had done enough for now. Someone else could help her. He made his way back home.
On his way back home, he had paid no heed to the towering pink buildings, sweating under the sun. The Bologna towers of Bologna are awfully moist today, he thought to himself. An oddity that was not odd to him, as his sense of what belonged and what did not was altered, as everything he had seen was something that must belong, as it is what he saw. With his new-found vindication for what he must do with his powers, he quickened his pace. Along the way he had seen another opportunity. Construction workers that were working on a new building, made from what seemed to be of high-quality bologna, were struggling even with the heavy-powered machinery to help somebody trapped under a monumental pile of bologna. With a flick of his hand, he had lifted the bologna and freed the man trapped underneath, carefully afterwards placing the bologna amongst the other piles of bologna. He grinned happily as he knew he had once again used his power to help others. It was an invigorating feeling, a sensation he had not felt before. He had felt powerful. Perhaps there was something more he could do to help people.
But first, he had to satiate the gnawing in his stomach. Surely these workers would not miss the tiniest piece of bologna, right? He used his telekinetic powers to float a piece of bologna over straight into his mouth as he chomped down around it. The bologna was all wrong, the texture, the weight, the taste. Then he was brought to his knees once more by the agonizing pain in his skull. He screamed out, desperate for it to stop. Everyone is watching him, the bologna towers, the bologna cars, they all have eyes on him. They must think he's lost his mind, that he's gone crazy. He realized he had once again used his powers for himself and betrayed the lady who had gifted him with it. He can't help but think it's a good thing he lost his passion for bologna, for his recent actions have made him unworthy of the bologna. The pain doesn't subside and he's rendered helpless on the ground. He can't even fight back when the bologna attacks, dragging him into a container of bologna. They slam the bologna doors, encasing him in darkness. It feels like forever before they finally open the doors and he realizes he's at a large bologna. He doesn't belong here, he wants to shout. But the bologna at his side doesn't care, it merely grabs him with its wet, slippery, cold appendage and drags him forward into the bologna. The inside of the building was no better. There was one bologna that stood apart from the rest. She was a very beautiful bologna, just the right shade, just the right texture. She looked at him and her smooth surface glistened in the light. It was love at first sight. Then one of the other, meaner bolognas started to drag her away. "Help me!" she screamed. And he used his powers for good once more. He flung the bad bologna at the wall, desperate to save his beloved bologna. There was a pinch, though, and he felt like he was floating. He hoped his bologna would be safe, but he could not be any further help as the darkness took him.
He awoke to a blinding light. He looked upwards toward the bologna, thinking to himself they should use bologna with less luminescence. He was frustrated that he could do nothing about his situation, trapped in bologna and unable to help his beloved bologna. Surely, using his powers to free himself in order to help others will not lead to negative consequences. He braced himself for what he was going to do. With his powers, he ripped the bologna caging him apart. Upon doing so, he had felt something had occurred in his skull. But it was not pain. It was a revelation. He could help everyone if everyone was under his control.
But first, he thought, snacks. So he broke into the bologna vending machine, taking as much bologna as he desired. The bologna was his fuel, and he needed his fuel to control everyone, to help them. Surely he wouldn't be disobeying her. He was wrong. His world turned even more pink as he was summoned to her world. The woman stands before him in her true form, tentacles flailing around angrily. "You have disobeyed me," she said, her voice booming. The power was sapped away, reclaimed by the eldritch horror before him. Giovanni knew what he had to do. He was Giovanni, otherwise known as Bologna. He was a deli counter employee who served the citizens of Bologna delicious bologna. He was Bologna, and Bologna was him. He was worthy of bologna. He held his hand to the sky and summoned his bologna. He started to sing his battle cry.
Bologna are the people here that walk around. Bologna like my Corvette. It's in and outside. Bologna are the words I say and what I think. Bologna are the feelings that live inside me. I'm Bologna, dabba-dee dabba-die.